Welcome to today's video. In this episode, we delve into the political turbulence facing Kenya's Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Once thought to be a strong ally of President William Ruto, Gachagua now finds himself in a whirlwind of political uncertainty. What started as a promising partnership between the two leaders has spiraled into an imminent showdown in parliament. When William Ruto became president, many expected his relationship with Gachagua to be smooth and fruitful. Their partnership, which had blossomed during the 2022 elections, was seen as a strong bond. But today, we stand at a very different crossroads. Before President William Ruto came to power, he had experienced a strenuous relationship with his boss in the second term of their regime and had in some occasions been mistreated, disregarded, and even disrespected by those opposed to his conduct. Therefore, he assured the country that when he is at the helm of power, he will never allow his deputy to experience the same thing or treated the same way. However, just 2 years into their tenure, the water seems not to hold. A rebellion is brewing. The current deputy president has been subjected to disrespect from quarters close to the head of state, and it seems his goose is already roasted. The truthful man has been hung out to dry. The mountain that he has fought so hard to protect has also produced tributaries that have channeled the floods intended to evacuate him from the riparian land, Harambee Annex. Will he survive the storm? Various grounds have been lined up in the impeachment motion, but the hypocrisy of these grounds show the inconsistency we see among a barrage of political participants, which will compare and contrast. According to reports by major news stations in Kenya such as Citizen TV, the first potential accusation relates to the violation of Article 10 on the national values and principles of governance on account of his public utterances perceived as insightful, reckless, inflammatory, and capable of stirring ethnic hatred and balkanization. However, the same people parading these charges assume that Kenyans have forgotten the hustler versus dynasty narrative put forward by the current president when he was second in command, and at that time, saw nothing wrong with it to warrant impeachment. Secondly, Gachagua is supposedly accused of violation of Articles 147, 148, 174, 186 and 189 in relation to his conduct and responsibility as the principal assistant to the president. To which you can ask the question, did the former DP, who is the current commander-in-chief, diligently observe these constitutional provisions, and why were the same members who have an issue with it now not have an issue with it then? 3. Corruptly and unlawfully acquiring assets using taxpayers' money. The assets are said to be spread in Nyeri, the Nairobi, and Kilifi counties. There are a number of high-ranking members in the government of Kenya who have pending cases and accusations for embezzling and misusing public resources. These same individuals seem to have never had an issue with that. 4. Violations of both national and international law, undermining the National Cohesion and Integration Act, violation of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, violation of the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act, violation of the Penal Code and the Leadership and Integrity Act as impeachment grounds. 5. Unjustifiably and unlawfully making scathing attacks on Lady Justice Esther Maina, a judge of the High Court of Kenya and the Director General of the National Intelligence Service, in total disregard of the oath of office taken by the Deputy President. We all remember when the current Commander-in-Chief of Kenya made some scathing attacks against other government officials during his tenure as a DP, including the DCI Director Mr. Kinoti, and some members of the judiciary, and at that time it seems these patriotic Kenyans who are now so concerned about these issues saw nothing wrong with it. 6. Insubordination of the President by publicly contradicting the President's policy statements and cabinet pronouncements. The whole continent can remember how things were during the tail end of the President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, and these same people did not find any fault with the then DP's actions and conduct. On October 1, 2024, Rigathi Gachagua faces a date with fate. An impeachment motion is set to be tabled in Parliament. What went wrong between the Deputy President and the head of state? Is this merely another case of political disloyalty, or are deeper issues at play? Across Africa, the relationship between presidents and their deputies has often been a rocky one. We've seen examples of tension between deputies and their presidents in countries like Zimbabwe, South Africa, and Nigeria. In these cases, power struggles and political differences have led to rebellion, betrayal, and sometimes even the fall of governments. Such political instability can create uncertainty, leaving citizens wondering who is truly in charge. The political tensions between Robert Mugabe and Emmerson Mnangagwa in Zimbabwe stemmed from a power struggle within the ruling ZANU-PF party. Mnangagwa, a longtime ally of Mugabe and a key figure in Zimbabwe's liberation movement, served as Mugabe's vice president. However, as Mugabe aged, a succession battle emerged, with Mnangagwa and Grace Mugabe, Mugabe's wife, being the main contenders. In 2017, Mugabe dismissed Mnangagwa from his position, accusing him of disloyalty, a move widely seen as an attempt to position Grace as his successor. This sparked internal strife within the party and the military. Soon after, the military intervened in what was described as a soft coup, forcing Mugabe to resign after 37 years in power. Mnangagwa then took over as president, ending Mugabe's long rule but creating divisions within the party and society over how the transition unfolded. The tensions highlighted the deep fractures in Zimbabwean politics and set the stage for ongoing instability. In South Africa, political tensions between sitting presidents and their vice presidents have surfaced multiple times, most notably between former President Jacob Zuma and his deputy, Cyril Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa, who became vice president in 2014, often found himself at odds with Zuma's administration, particularly over issues of corruption and state capture. The tension peaked during the scandal surrounding Zuma's alleged involvement in corrupt dealings with the Gupta family, a wealthy business family accused of influencing government decisions. While Zuma faced mounting public and political pressure, Ramaphosa, a reformist, began distancing himself from Zuma's controversial leadership. This created a visible divide within the ruling African National Congress, ANC, with factions forming around each leader. In 2018, as Zuma's presidency became increasingly untenable due to corruption scandals and growing calls for his resignation, Ramaphosa succeeded him as president. The transition, though peaceful, left lingering political divisions within the ANC, with Zuma loyalists challenging Ramaphosa's leadership and reforms, deepening the internal conflict in South Africa's ruling party. In Nigeria, political tensions between sitting presidents and their vice presidents have occurred at various points, with one notable instance being between President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Although Buhari and Osinbajo initially appeared to have a strong working relationship, the tensions arose during Buhari's multiple extended medical absences abroad. While Buhari was out of the country, Osinbajo, as acting president, took decisive actions, including reforms and dismissals of top officials linked to corruption. These actions were widely praised but reportedly caused friction within Buhari's inner circle, who felt Osinbajo overstepped his authority. The tension became more apparent when Buhari returned and reversed some of Osinbajo's decisions. Additionally, there were reports of power struggles within Buhari's government, particularly around Osinbajo's diminished role, including the reorganization of key economic and political portfolios that were previously under his supervision. These political strains highlighted the challenges of power sharing and governance in Nigeria's complex political environment, particularly within the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) party, where factions aligned with either Buhari or Osinbajo vied for influence. But in Kenya's case, is there more than meets the eye? As the clock ticks towards Gachagua's impeachment, we are left with critical questions. Is this a genuine clash of leadership within the government? Or could it be a smokescreen for other, more controversial issues? One such issue that comes to mind is the forfeited Adani deal. Could the political noise around Gachagua be a strategic move to divert attention from critical matters like this? Or is the Ruto-Gachagua fallout part of a broader political game? This is where Kenyan politics becomes tricky, leaving many unsure about what to believe. Political theater or genuine crisis? It's hard to say for sure. But one thing is certain, October 1st will be a day of reckoning for Kenya's deputy president. The outcome of this impeachment motion will shape Kenya's political landscape for years to come. In times like this, as citizens, we must remain vigilant and question what we see. What are your thoughts? Do you believe this is a real political breakdown, or could it be part of a larger strategy to distract the public? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more political analysis and updates on key developments across Africa. Until next time, stay informed and stay critical.